And welcome inside the Backstage Pass. It is a Friday, TGIF, and thank God for the weekend coming up around the corner. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there on a Sunday, I guess myself included, being a first time dad too as well. And presented by our friends at Bangtail Whiskey and Honky Tonk, Texas. My thanks go out to CJ Nitkowski, the Texas Ranger broadcaster, MLB Network Radio. We started the day with that. And of course, working on some exciting things for next week here on the Sports Guys podcast.com. Only 7 weeks now to the kickoff of high school and college football. So looking forward to that too as well. Been looking forward to this too for quite some time. She's an up-and-coming singer-songwriter out there, and I'm pleased to have her here today on the show. I went to find her just specifically because I love this 3-song EP she has put out. Sarah Allison Turner to the Backstage Pass. Sarah, how you doing?
Good. How about you?
It's been a good day so far. It's a Friday, getting some work done, sleeping, running, exercise. It's been a nice little leveled out day
Good little
so far.
Friday.
Good little day. Well, let's get to know you here at the top because, like I said, you've been around Nashville. You kind of know this thing with songwriting and working with some of the best names in the business. I want to get to know you a little bit at the top, the connection to music, and kind of when you found out, man, the music bug bit, and that's my career.
Yeah. So I grew up in a musical family. My parents threw me in piano lessons when I was 4 years old. My entire dad's side of the family, everybody plays, everybody sings, everybody jumps in with harmonies. And I would just grew up in that environment. My granddad pastored at a Pentecostal church, and everybody got up in the choir and sang along. And it like being in music from such a young age, it's hard for it to not bite you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And my parents put me in piano lessons. They always said they wanted me to have the option to pursue music if I wanted to. And so, I mean, I would say the music bug bit me probably as early as 3, 4.
And the performing, talk about this because a lot of people, it's either one of those things in entertainment, you have stage presence or it takes a while to learn it. And definitely one of those things. When did performing kind of become, I'm going to step on stage and do this? Because it's one thing to sing, it's another thing to take the words and the songs and things like that and play in front of a crowd.
Yeah. So just speaking of being on stage, my parents also threw me in dance when I was 4. So piano and dance. And so I don't ever like have a conscious memory of like thinking about having like the fear of stepping on a stage because I just did it from such an early age. And I've heard other people in music talk about that like the first time they got on stage or they didn't get on a stage until they were, a certain age. And, I don't know why it was so important to my parents, but I'm glad it was because it just, kind of taught me from an early age that this is something you can do if you want to, which was just so cool.
Now, growing up, as far as musically influences, things like that, country, maybe a cross of everything there. Who were you listening to, kind of jamming out in the car, and who was kind of being played on radio, stuff like that?
Growing up, I would say was probably the Chicks,
Mm-hmm.
Shania Twain, kind of that era of country. I gravitated a lot towards them, towards Miranda Lambert, Leanne Womack, a lot of powerhouse females that really told it like it was,
Mm-hmm. And that seems to be kind of the feeling I'm getting now is this power wave or movement of women across the landscape in country music. I was talking to Renee Blair about it yesterday on the show, and she kind of, right there is seeing what Lainey Wilson's doing. And you look at Ashley McBride, Carly Pierce, Stephanie Quayle, just this whole movement of ladies doing their thing with some of the 90s greats, such as Terry Clark and Lori Morgan and Sarah Evans still staying active out there. This, I guess, shift in music for ladies today, kind of what do you make of it? And I think it's pretty special now that this female movement is really kind of taken over.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I mean, there for a while, it kind of felt like everyone was asking the question, like, where did all the females go?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, because everybody's been working hard, but it's kind of like people have sort of started to pop through. And, you've got Lainey, you've got Ashley and Carly. And, it's so cool to see females rise. And, we're all rooting for each other. And the sort of the community of women is everybody's got each other's backs, and I'm honored to have a seat at the table, in any capacity. So I think it's really cool to see.
You've worked with Renee Blair, and that's how I kind of found out more about you yesterday. And
Yeah.
looking at her through songwriting, some writers' rounds, things like that. What's the best part, I guess, going through Nashville there, co-writing with someone and then working with someone of the caliber of a Renee Blair?
Man, I would just say, for me, I feel like I find myself so often almost in like pinch me moments
Mm-hmm.
where it's like I kind of have to just stop what I'm doing and not remind myself, but just sort of like acknowledge how cool it is to be in this town
Mm-hmm.
and to get to meet the people that I do and work with the people that I do. Like it's such an honor and just, you know.
Yeah, you've had some of the names too that come to mind too in the town that you've worked with. I mean, all the headliners too. You look at what she's doing there. Jordan Schmidt, her husband, great songwriter, kind of that power music couple too. And I want to go back a little bit to some songs you put out in 2020 during that whole time we're going through the pandemic. The idea of you. Let's go back to that one too. Talk about the writing between it, and it really did it for me too when it came to really lyrically telling a story.
Thank you. So I wrote that one with Matt McGinn and Daniel Ross.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that one came about. I'd had a conversation with a friend about a relationship that she's no longer in now, but I think we were on the phone and I think I actually said, have you ever thought about whether you're in love with him or if you're just in love with the idea of him having somebody around? And I remember like when I said it on the phone, I was like, put her on speakerphone and like went to my notes and wrote it down. And had to write with Daniel and Matt coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So we tackled that one, and we wrote it pretty close to the date that I was going into the studio to cut. So it was like as soon as we got it done, I was like, y'all, you need to hear this. And I think it turned out really cool.
What was the toughest challenge? I mean, through all this during that time, you mentioned still trying to put out singles and songs to connect with fans, and really just good ideas coming, hook books, things like that, and writing as much as possible. A lot of people said they kept busy writing during that time. Was there a challenge for you, or did you find yourself kind of writing more during and maybe even after that pandemic?
I would say a little bit of both, because there were definitely, start with the positive. There were definitely moments where, like the pace, or sorry, the quantity of songs that I was writing was less. So I think the quality ended up rising a little bit, and I had an opportunity to get back to writing songs by myself, which I hadn't done in a long time. And even though they may be songs that I may never share with anybody, it was still good for me to sit alone with the song and create something by myself like I used to before I moved here.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say those are the positives, but then the negatives were there was a lot of sitting around and there was a lot of questioning and doubt and low points of just, is music ever going to be what it used to be? Are we ever going to have live shows? Do people even care what I'm writing? Am I going to have a job on the other side of this pandemic? So I think it was just a mixed bag.
Take us a little bit through, some of those times. I loved Intervention. I thought that was another one you
Thank
guys
you.
came out with too. And also Bad for Me was one that came out in 2021. Take me through those two tracks.
Okay, so Intervention was written a couple years prior to when it came out. And that was with two of my friends, Autumn McIntyre and Riley Thomas. I had the idea Intervention for a little while. I had thrown it out at quite a few people and nobody would bite on it. And sometimes when that happens, I just give up and delete it from my list, but I didn't for whatever reason. And then Autumn and Riley kind of really helped that song come to life. And that was, for me at that time, kind of the turning point from me trying to figure out exactly what it is I wanted to say and sound like to this is what this is. Let's write 10 more interventions. So that song was special for that reason. And then Bad for Me, so sort of similar in the sense that when it came out, it was a couple years old. I wrote that on a retreat with a girl named Emily Falvey and Haley McLean. And Emily came in with that title that day. It was the first time the three of us had written. And it was the first ride of the retreat. We sort of made our introductions. We carpooled together with a mutual friend. So we made our introductions in the car ride on the way there. we got put together for the first write, and I kid you not, that song was done in an hour. I mean, it just was like we all just kind of started going off each other's energy, and we were like, "This is so fun."
Well, I love this little 3-song EP you've put out here too as well. Young When I'm Old came out May 19th. We're going to talk about that song, which definitely blew me away and kind of really just attracted me to you too at the same time, because I really got a feel of a little 90s country in there in that song. And we'll come back and talk about that, plus the other 2 songs on the EP, maybe a performance or 2 coming up here on the Backstage Pass. Definitely, I know that guitar. People are already asking me. I said, yes, she's going to play a song or 2 on the show coming up today, too, as well. We'll take a quick time out. Our friends over at Bangtail Whiskey, check them out. Bangtail.com, easyliquor.com, too, as well. And if you're out there in Live Oak in Nashville, there's washers and games and floor mats, and it's everywhere, too, as well. Thanks to our buddy Brandon Beng. He's been with us for the 4-year mark here, coming up here on the show, too. So coming back more with Sarah Allison Turner. It is the Backstage Pass powered by the Sports Guys podcast.com, hightidecountry.net. Coming right back.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And final show of the week coming up here in a little bit, 3:30-ish, somewhere in there. Faith Schuler going to be joining us here, too, on the Backstage Pass. We'll do her show today. And, of course, next week, taking some time off to reflect and take care of some other business here on the show, too. So definitely great group coming up next week, June 21st at 4 o'clock. Tiger Lily Gold coming here on the Backstage Pass, blowing it up out there on radio and, of course, across other streaming platforms, too. I'm sure Sarah knows little Tiger Lily Gold doing things out there in big Nashville, Tennessee. Young When I'm Old, I'm going to set you up because I love this song. Back here with Sarah Allison Turner on the Backstage Pass, the SportsGuysPodcast.com, live there at YouTube and hightidecountry.net. Love this EP. Take it away, and I'm sure that's going to be that. I just love this song. I love it.
Thank you. Is that what you want to hear right now?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's have you play it right now, and we'll do it here on this show exclusive here on the Backstage Pass. And definitely this song again takes people back and has a feel of that 90s country and definitely just a kind of a new flavor. And I love your spin on it, too, with your vocals. It really is a blessing to hear it.
I want 99 candles on my birthday cake. Live as long as these bones will take. Unapologetic and unashamed to wear big sunglasses. I never wanna ever stop asking why. Mix a little reckless with the wise. Smoke a cigarette once in a while in a leather jacket. Get on my status. I wanna die young when I'm old. Keep a little bit of wild in my soul. Never stop dreaming, never stop learning. Silver hair and years of gold. I never really wanna grow up. Find me when my time is done. Still raising hell and having fun. I wanna die young when I'm old. Never wanna lose my sense of wonder. Be a kid again when I'm a grandmother. I hope age is just a number, and I never acted with every year that passes. I wanna die young when I'm old. Keep a little bit of wild in my soul. Never stop dreaming, never stop learning. Silver hair and years of gold. I never really wanna grow up. Find me when my time is done. Still raising hell and having fun. I wanna die young when I'm old. Never wanna let experience burning silver every year's of gold. I never really want to grow up. Find me when my time is done, still raising hell and having fun. I want to die young when I'm old. I want to die young when I'm old.
Time to go to a concert. It's Friday. I love it here on the show.
What time is it starting?
What's that?
I said, what time is it starting?
What time is it starting? I'd love to see it feature Sarah Allison Turner here on the Backstage Pass. I don't know. I guess we could start tonight or so. I don't know, 7 o'clock. Usually most shows are 8:30. I don't know. Late too. I know in Honky Tonk, Texas, they start here in Texas. It's probably around 8:30, 9 o'clock on a Friday. Saturday, you have a lot of cool stuff out there too. I love the song. It's a beautiful message, and definitely it makes you think a lot about life and not take things so seriously as when people are kind of growing up. We all go through the trials and tribulations of life on an everyday basis, and this is beautiful. Tell me all about this arrangement and kind of this 3-song EP, and man, this is just a smash of a song to lead this thing off.
Yeah, so Young When I'm Old, that song came to be. I was listening to a podcast, Good Talk by Pete and Jordan Wilson. In that episode, they were rattling off. It was like a trivia round, and they were trying to guess the ages of celebrities. And some people stumped me because they appeared younger than they actually were, or looked younger than they actually were, or looked older than they actually were. And I just had this thought, like, man, I hope I die young when I'm old. And I took it to my co-writers, Joy Beth Taylor and Autumn McIntyre, and the song fell together pretty quickly. It's always so fascinating to me. The songs that end up being your favorites, like, usually do kind of come together pretty quickly. Not always, but sometimes when it's there, it's just there. And that was one of the ones that sort of during that sort of season of life. That one, you mentioned the EP, John Denver was another one during that season. Lemonade was another one. I've got some more coming. And so just those were kind of the songs to me that I just really gravitated towards, and that when I had the opportunity to go in and record songs, like those were the ones that I loved the day we wrote them, and I loved them 6 months later, 8 months later, whenever it was. And so I'm excited to kind of have an opportunity to do a second batch of songs from the ones you mentioned back in 2020 and just sort of showcase what this last season of my life has been.
I love it too. It's great. The Lemonade, the John Denver, we're going to get into those tracks here in a little bit. We'll go across the pond. I love David when he tunes in from England all the way over there in Cumbria. He was talking about this. I try to ask the question, but as a host, your mind goes 90-0 when you're doing a broadcast, but I love it. He says, tell me about the guitar you're using and how important is the guitar to you when you're writing and performing? Good question.
That's a great question. So this guitar is a Gibson Hummingbird, and I actually bought it off of a friend maybe 6 or 7 years ago, another writer in town. They let me borrow it for a photo shoot because it's just it's a beautiful looking guitar. It's also, and most importantly, a very beautiful sounding guitar. I used it really just as a prop, and I played it, and I said, oh my gosh, if you ever sell this guitar, please, please, please call me. And she was like, I'll never sell it. It will never be for sale. And so she was like, but you can borrow it anytime. So I did for a show in town or just something. I just wanted something special. And then she called me out of the blue one day and said, I found another guitar I love. So if you want the Hummingbird, it's yours. Find whatever price online seems fair to you, you can have it for that. But the only criteria is that you keep the name Lucille, because she named the guitar after her grandmother.
Wow, that's what an awesome tribute.
Her name is Lucille. And then as far as the using it in the writing process, I think it's super important. For me, it sparks a lot of inspiration, whether I'm playing the guitar or someone else in the room is playing it. So I really like having it during the writing.
Sentimental feeling that we all get to at the same time, that we love it, and it's just an important part. I guess it's kind of like, when you go running, you can't forget those nice earbuds that you have too when you have to run to music. So you got to have a guitar to kind of fit.
You can do the run without the earbud.
It's depending on what you're listening to. I was actually running to your song this morning, "Young When I'm Old," out there on the trail, and still it was a good feel. And I can also Lemonade and John Denver. And I love this question here. Yeah, we're going to another performance here, David, coming up here in a little bit. She'll sing another one for us too, and definitely kind of what's ahead. We'll talk some music video stuff too coming up here because a lot of great music videos that Sarah's been a part of out there too as well, such as John Denver and of course Lemonade, and talk about that too here on the Backstage Pass, again powered by the Sports Guys podcast.com. You can also catch us at hightidecountry.net. More coming up here with Sarah Allison Turner. Don't forget 3:30 Faith Schuler coming here to talk about her new single here on the Backstage Pass. And next week, looks like next couple of weeks, Dean Sams of the band Lone Star coming right here on the show too as well. Quick timeout. We're back in a flash here on the Backstage Pass. Stay tuned. Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
It's the weekend too, so definitely we'll have to have a warm finish there. Some Bangtail whiskey too, make a cocktail tonight. You never know. It's Friday night into Father's Day weekend, so I don't know what I'm doing, but we're gonna have a good time with it coming up this weekend. Spending time with the wife and of course the daughter, and just enjoy the weekend there here on the Backstage Pass. And good thing is, Sarah, I don't have to work. I can actually enjoy Father's Day and just
Yay, good for you.
So that's a good thing. Back here with Sarah Allison Turner. It is the Backstage Pass. You can check her out across all these social media out there, and every song we're talking about today is available for streaming and then some. I tell you what, let's have you play another one here, since David's like in my ears, like, have her play another one. I'm like, we'll do that here on the show.
Can I do a new song? Is that okay?
That'll work. Do whatever you want to do. I love your voice and I love your music, so it is your show. Take it away.
It's been 7 years since I packed up and moved away. And I met all kinds of folks from NYC to LA. They still turn their heads when I go opening my mouth, asking how this city ain't watering me down. Well, if my y'all ever turns to you all, someone drag me back home, reel me in until I slow it down again. Keep me in line if I get where you can't hear where I've been. Y'all look out for me, don't let me lose my accent. Ooh. If I start talking fast and every word sounds clear as day, I call my mama, tell her to set an extra supper plate. My roots are planted deep, but my wings, they wanna fly. Pull me to my hometown ground if I get too high. If my y'all ever turns to you all, someone drag me back home, reel me in until I slow it down again. Keep me in line if I get where you can't hear where I've been. Y'all look out for me, don't let me lose my accent. Ooh, ooh, I don't plan on changing, but I know a few that have. So I'm just saying that if my y'all ever turns to you all, someone drag me back home, reel me in until slow it down again. Keep me in line if I get where you can't hear where I've been. Y'all look out for me, don't let me lose my accent. Ooh, 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 ooh.
That's what happens in the show. You just get lost in the music and forget you're doing a show. It's just Sarah Allison Turner takeover. I love that. Here on the Backstage Pass, powered by the Sports Guys podcast.com. Yeah, David, thank you, Sarah, for singing the song on the guitar. Love his voice and the guitar playing. Fan of the music. So we just make one fan every day. We're doing our due diligence here on the show, whether it's 1,000 fans or one new fan. See how that works. And all the way in England, of all places that you can do across the pond to make one new fan here on the show. We've done our job here too as well. Hey, I want to ask you about John Denver and how this came together. I love the fact is you can put a synonymous name into a song, and this had to be fun to write and record.
It was so fun. You know, that was a pandemic song. I had a write with a writer that I love, Lynn Hutton. And so fun fact, he is the husband of Tammy that I bought my guitar from.
Oh, wow.
So Lynn and I had written together a good bit, and we had a write one day, and everyone was still on Zoom at that point. But I was so tired of being in my house that I drove to Music Row to write in an empty office just for a change of scenery, even though we weren't in person. And I had some other ideas that I was planning on bringing him that day, but on my way, I just was missing home. So I turned on Take Me Home Country Roads by John Denver. And literally the song got done, and I was like, I want to write a song called John Denver. Like, he's the only one taking me home. And when I took it to Lynn, I think he spit out the first couple lines of the chorus that there ain't a car out on the highway, ain't a plane up in the air, ain't a long train on a fast track calling me back there. And I was like, yep, that's it. That's what we're writing today.
Love how they come together. Let's do the same thing with Lemonade, because it's a different feel for it too. You guys included it on the little 3-song album there too as well. It's available for streaming. Lemonade, how'd this originate?
Yeah, so that one was with Autumn McIntyre, Emily Falvey, and Haley McLean. And that was also a pandemic song. Haley zoomed in from Canada. That's where she was kind of stationed during the pandemic. And then me and I call her Falvey and Autumn got together in person because we were starting to be okay to be around people. And I actually brought in the idea, I'm making it. And that was where we were headed. And then somebody said the line about lemonade. And we were like, I think that's the point, is lemonade. So that was another one that came together fairly quick. And Haley actually did a demo for the song. And that I loved, and I wanted to put the demo out initially. And then I ended up working with an incredible producer, Luke D. James, and he agreed that he also really loved the demo, but was kind of had this like, just trust me on this. And we ended up taking it to a little bit of a different spot that just elevated it just a little more. And I'm really happy with how it turned out.
Definitely love the music. And this, again, Young When I'm Old is out there, 3-song EP from Sarah Allison Turner. Make sure you guys go stream it if you haven't already across all the digital platforms out there too. So kind of what's next? You mentioned some songs there you're working on too, and maybe a back half of this. I'm excited to kind of see where this goes. I love the fact that you can, put something like this together and really just keep building blocks, if you look at it that way, of just great music. What are you most excited about now that the year's halfway over and you've got 6 months until we close this year? It's crazy.
I know, that's wild. The rest of the year for me, there will be more music. I'll leave it at that. But I will say Lose My Accent will be out a little later this summer. So that's kind of next on the horizon. I can't say when just yet, but that one's coming next. And then there will be some other things that follow later this year.
I like that too as well. Well, I'll tell you what, away from music, are there any other hobbies for Sarah Allison Turner, things for fun that you like to do when you're not doing music?
Lately, and I wouldn't say that I'm good at it, but something that I've really been enjoying is gardening. And
oh, really?
indoor plants and just kind of learning about how to keep things alive. And I have failed miserably with lots of things, but I don't know. I've just kind of gotten into it and, I've been able to keep a couple things alive. So I'm like, maybe there's hope for me. So it's been really fun.
All right. Favorite dish to cook out there. Do you enjoy cooking?
I love cooking. My favorite dish is my grandmother's macaroni and cheese recipe.
Ooh, how does that come together? What all ingredients go into that? Crunchy, smooth? What are we talking about here? Mac and cheese.
I can't tell you all the ingredients because it's but it's been really fun, kind of trial and error with that recipe because that generation, when I asked her for the recipe, it just says salt. It's like there's no actual measurement for anything. It's just you kind of measure with your heart. I've made it a few times where I'm like, I didn't do enough of this and I didn't do enough of that. And so I've kind of had to just guess what it is I think my mom would do. And I think I've got it to a good spot.
I like that too. And like I said, keep those secret. We don't make anybody mad when it comes to family recipes out there too at the same time. Last show to get into to binge watch, what'd you enjoy?
The last show, I just watched the show called Jury Duty.
I've heard of that. I've not seen it yet, but I've heard good reviews on it. Yes.
It is about it's filmed as if it's a documentary about a juror. And so these people come in thinking that it's like a reality show, but the catch is it's actually only one real person and everyone else is hired actors and actresses.
Ooh.
So the one guy thinks it's real, but everyone else is hired.
Interesting. And that's the Netflix, or is that?
It is
Amazon?
No, it was a unique one. We had to download the app to watch because we didn't have it.
Jury Duty. I'll have to check that out on the different Google it or something like that, or figure it out what I can find it on too. Maybe an HBO Max, one of those probably, or
not HBO Max. I'm drawing a blank on what it is. It starts with an F.
I'll have to check it out and see what in there too. Kind of go through that and Google that, put that in the search engine, see what I can find. But the title is not going to escape me a little bit too. It kind of reminds me, you say Jury Duty, I think of the one that I got into with Bryan Cranston at Your Honor, which came out on, what was that on? That was on maybe an Amazon, maybe in Showtime, I forget. One of those that's out there too as well. But Your Honor was fantastic. I'm waiting for the next season of me being a guy who used to be into martial arts for a lot of years. I love Cobra Kai and the extenuation of the Karate Kid back in the 80s, which I grew up with too. So this is going to be a good time for TV if you're a watcher, and slow time for sports. That's why music keeps us busy. We get back to sports talk in the fall because it's slow time right now with just the College World Series going on too. Now, speaking of sports, do you ever get into anything? Would it be pro or college? Do you watch anything out there?
I keep up a little bit, but I'm not going to claim to be a big sports gal.
Okay.
My husband loves it, and he's got his teams, but he will watch any sport, any game, any time of the year, and I'm just not that way.
It's all good. We'll tell him the College World Series started today. I'm sure he knows the college baseball is Omaha, Nebraska. And there's 8 great teams there too, with some amazing talent out there featured. And first game's already off to a good start, which was TCU and Oral Roberts. So it should be fun the rest of the way through. I'll tell you what's fun is this music, this new flavor, this brand. She's having a lot of fun out there writing and enjoying it. Young When I'm Old came out May 19th. Make sure you guys go stream it across all the digital platforms. Check her out on social media. Find her like I did. An amazing talent. Great singer-songwriter, Sarah Allison Turner here on the Backstage Pass. Sarah, we appreciate the time and looking forward to doing this again. Hope you had fun.
I enjoyed it so much. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Faith Schuler coming up here about 3:30 today. We'll put a capper on that. Big announcement coming up on the show next week, so stay tuned for that. That's just a little tease right now too as well. And definitely check us out, hightidecountry.net and at the sportsguyspodcast.com. Thanks to Honky Tonk Texas and Bangtail Whiskey. We'll see you shortly here. 3:30 Central Time. Faith Schuler here to put a capper on the week here on the shows of shows here on the Backstage